Another professor teaches that GOP senators are traitors. Joining me this time is Cabot Phillips. He's a correspondent for CampusReform.org. Campus Reform, by the way, is a project of the Leadership Institute, and they monitor extreme speech and actions on our nation's college campuses. Cabot, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So we got this guy yesterday that we talked about, and your organization, Campus Reform, broke the story. He's a professor, Chris Hamilton, at Washburn University in Topeka, Kansas. He is teaching in his classroom. He is teaching 18 to 22-year-olds, by and large, that the conservative movement wants to re-resurrect racism, and they are neo-Confederates. Tell us about that story.
Well, Rick, we're only 4 days into the most recent presidential cycle, and what do you know? We've already got professors at public institutions who are using their position and using taxpayer money to call out Republican candidates, and it's ridiculous. In this story, this professor at Washburn University, who is a two-time Fulbright scholar, was the head of the political science department for 7 years. This is not some random professor. This is a respected person on campus. Came out and actually said that the goal of the Republican Party, led by people like Ted Cruz and Ron Paul, their goal is basically to rescind any civil rights legislation from the 1960s, to forward their racism and bigotry, and like you said, to bring back a new form of Confederacy, whatever that means.
Now, how did this story get brought to your attention, Cabot?
Well, a student contacted us at CampusReform.org through our tip line, and they actually remained anonymous. This sort of says what kind of atmosphere is being created on this campus when a student is so concerned about retribution from their professor that they have to remain anonymous because they don't want to express their beliefs. The classroom is supposed to be a place where conversations are had and where intellect is requested, and that's not what's happening. This is a professor who was using taxpayer money to liberally indoctrinate students and create an environment where people are scared to have a differing view from his.
And that is why it is so important, Cabot Phillips, that groups like yours, CampusReform.org, a project of the Leadership Institute, exist and is doing what it is doing, because we all know there is a liberal indoctrination taking place on our nation's college campuses, and students are finding themselves, if they have a different point of view, God forbid, they have a different point of view than the professor about life, about values, about politics, they may be reprimanded in a classroom. Your group calls these people out. Now, this story did not exist in the public mind until the student contacted you and Campus Reform broke it publicly. Has there been any statement from the professor or the university itself?
Well, we reached out to the professor, and he's yet to respond to us. But the thing that we need to remember is we've got to keep making sure that we're holding professors accountable. So many taxpayers out there don't know where their money is going, and so much taxpayer money is going to universities, where professors are in turn using that money to indoctrinate students with liberal ideas. Professors are there to teach. And so many times we at the Leadership Institute's Campus Reform are finding out that professors are not teaching, they are simply indoctrinating and giving their views. And the left always likes to preach about having diversity, and I agree that we should have diversity. How about a diversity of thought and a diversity of conversation in the classroom?
Cabot Phillips, well put, work well done. Thank you for joining us. When we come back, our grassroots